to be alongside with that, and I appreciate you sharing that perspective and that passion with the audience. Now to Drew. I think it's important to recognize the question he was asked. I'll read it to you exactly. How will the NFL respond to potential kneeling, and what is your responsibility in times like this? That's the question Drew Brees was asked. He could have taken it any direction he wanted. He made an active choice to hit for the cycle of disinformation. He never once mentions police brutality, race, or racism. He immediately goes to disrespect, the red herring of disrespect of the flag or of America, and he evokes someone else's military service as a cloak for his opinion. So I can't believe we're here again, 3 years later. But let me once again remind Drew Brees and others who evidently need it, the timeline of events here. Colin Kaepernick was sitting during the national anthem. Nate Boyer, a Green Beret, met with him, explained to him that this was going to resonate poorly with some members of the military, active and former. And Nate Boyer suggested taking a knee because in the military, that is a sign of respect. So Cap started taking a knee. That's how this got going. I also would like to remind Drew Brees that at every turn, at every opportunity, Cap and everyone that kneeled alongside him made it crystal clear this is about systemic police brutality against the black community and has nothing to do with the flag, our troops, or anything to do with patriotism that you try to conflate and bring into this story. And all of America knows, and this is the most uncomfortable part of this, I would imagine, that if when Cap was first asked about kneeling, his answer was, I'm kneeling because I don't think our veterans are treated right. I think the VA is underfunded, and I won't stand for the flag until we take care of our servicemen and women. The disrespect for the flag would be the exact same, but the folks angriest at Cap would be his biggest supporters, because the issue was never about the flag. It was always about the cause and whether or not you believe that to be a just cause. But this is particularly disappointing from Drew, not only in this moment that we're in, 4 years after Cap started kneeling, 3 years after he was run out of the league for it, and in a week of documented on television police brutality in response to protests about police brutality. It's particularly disappointing from Drew because of the sport he plays and the city in which he plays it. Drew Brees plays a majority black sport in a majority black city. A majority black city that made him a hero because of what he did for them in the days and months and weeks and years after Katrina. Katrina, which ravaged that city, in large part because we as a country abandoned it in a way we never would. A majority white city, and a city that in the day ravaged that city, in large part because we as a country abandoned it in a way we never would. A majority white city, and a city that in the days and weeks and months after Katrina suffered an epidemic of police violence not seen in this country since Jim Crow. That's your city, Drew Brees. That's the city that has elevated you above star football player to cultural icon. And Drew talks about his grandfathers fighting in World War II, as did mine, as did most of us around Drew Brees' age. It was a world war. A lot of us have a relative that fought in it. But I'm not from a military family. Aside from my grandfather in World War II, that's my only connection. But Drew Brees should talk to some of his black teammates that are from military families. My wife is from a black military family. Their experience a little different maybe than Drew's grandfathers. When Drew's grandfathers came back from World War II, they assuredly helped set up the life that then led to Drew Brees being Drew Brees through the GI Bill, through getting houses, getting housing, education, through benefits that were available to them. My wife's great-grandfather intentionally excluded, as nearly all black Americans were, from the GI Bill. Or my wife's grandfather, who signed up for the military in 1947, served 30 years, some of which while the military was still segregated. Yep. He's still alive to this day to talk about that. Or my wife's brother, who's in the military today, and to this day carries his military ID around with him when he is in America. So if he gets pulled over by the police, he can show them that first with the hope they might treat him differently than they treat the average black man. So Drew, maybe talk to some of your teammates who have lived some of those experiences, and you won't sound the way you sound. And lastly, Drew, no one is asking you to take a knee. They are simply asking you to understand what the knee is about. And while you're at it, I'm going to ask you something, Drew. Can you please come up with a way for black Americans to demand their equal protection under the law as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America that will be acceptable to you? Because they've only been looking for one for 152 years.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more